Christine, go for it. Okay. Sam's here.
Good morning, everyone. If everyone can please take their seats, we're going to start our program right now. First off, thank you so much for joining us today at the Mayor's Forum for the City of San Jose and the Vietnamese American community. First off, I'd like to thank all of the participating organizations. This has truly been a grassroots effort with the following organizations pitching in: the Vietnamese American Roundtable, the Vietnamese American Professional Women of Silicon Valley, United Vietnamese Student Union Association of Northern California, Viet Voters, Vietnamese American Communities and Coalition of Northern California, Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association, Viet Public Broadcast Network, Lực lượng sĩ quan Thủ Đức, Vietnamese Americans Women's Volunteer Association of Northern California, Ủy ban xây dựng tượng đài Việt Mỹ, Overseas Vietnamese Women's Association of Northern California, V-Stars United, and Bay Area's Vietnamese professionals. Thank you so much to our core team for their hours putting together this event, and all of the volunteers today that are in the audience helping you find your seats and collecting your question cards. There are 3 very important people here today that need to be recognized for their work. The first 2 are our interpreters to the right, Chu Tinh Quang and Hương Nguyen. If you have not picked up a translation device, you can always pick one up at the back. And our timekeeper, Danny Nguyen, who will be keeping the candidates within their time. And also we have Maggie Weber, who is going to be transcribing the event live. So thank you very much to those 3 for helping us today. At this time, I'd like to say a few remarks in Vietnamese for our Vietnamese-speaking audience. Xin kính chào quý vị. Cháu là Christine Phạm, xin được đại diện ban tổ chức hôm nay để hân hoan chào mừng quý quan khách, quý hội đoàn, quý đồng hương, quý cơ quan truyền thông và báo chí, cùng quý anh, chị và bạn. Xin chân thành cảm ơn quý vị đã đến tham dự buổi hội thảo hôm nay và để cho cái buổi hôm nay nó đông đầy. Cộng đồng Việt Nam chúng ta là cộng đồng thiểu số đầu tiên của thành phố San Jose được tổ chức buổi hội thảo như thế và đã được sự nhận lời của các ứng cử viên. Và cộng đồng mình cũng đã quan tâm và góp ý đến tham dự. Điều này là một phần rất làm ban đại diện cảm động và hãnh diện. Tuy nhiên, vì lần đầu tiên tổ chức nên cháu và các cháu xin lỗi quý ông bà có sự thiếu sót gì và xin quý khách thông cảm và bỏ qua những lỗi lầm. Cháu cũng xin nhắc là hôm nay là một buổi rất là quan trọng, thành ra xin mong là quý vị cũng lịch sự và ôn hòa để quan khách ngoại quốc có cảm tình tốt đẹp với cộng đồng chúng ta. Chúng cháu rất biết ơn sự cộng tác của quý vị. Nếu quý vị cần thêm cái sự dịch bằng tiếng Việt, xin có những cái máy đằng sau để mà có cái buổi hôm nay nó sẽ thông dịch bằng tiếng Việt dùm. Rất cảm ơn quý vị đã tới tham dự hôm nay. And as a final reminder, everyone, take out your cell phones. I'll take a quick picture of our audience. Please turn off your cell phones. We only have a limited amount of time and we don't want to be disrupted. So please pick up your phones and turn that off for us. At this time, I'd like to thank Evergreen Valley College for hosting our event today. I'd like to introduce Dr. Lena Tran. Dr. Tran is the Dean of Business and Workforce Development. She has just been recently recognized by the Biz Journal, Silicon Valley Biz Journal, as a 2014 Woman of Influence. She is the very first Vietnamese American senior administrator at Evergreen Valley College with a doctorate from USF. Dr. Tran.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us at Evergreen Valley College. For those who have been to Evergreen, welcome. For those who haven't, I spoke to a few people say, wow, it's such a beautiful campus. And this is exactly why we want to host events as such, so the community can come onto our campus. Please enjoy our campus, take our classes, and get to know our staff. And this event could not possibly happen without all the group from the Vietnamese community, as well as our candidates willing to spend their time with us. And at this time, it is my privilege to introduce you to our President of Evergreen Valley College, Dr. Henry Young.
Good morning. On behalf of the faculty, staff, students, and administration at Evergreen Valley College, I want to extend a special welcome to the community for being here this morning. From Evergreen Valley College, I'm pleased to announce that we have faculty who are here. Professor Jack Baker, Professor of Life Sciences and Vice President of the Academic Senate. We have Associate Professor Steve Graham from the History Department and a guest. We also have a Professor of Communication Studies, John Carrion. We have Vice President of Academic Affairs, Keith H. Vice President of Student Affairs, Irma Chuleta. We have the Executive Director of the Oral Institute that is housed at Evergreen Valley College, Leslie James. From the Student Associated Government, we have Jamal Hall, Senator Jamal Hall. We know that there are many others, students from Evergreen Valley College and the families represented in the audience. So thank you for being here. At Evergreen Valley College, we strongly believe that higher education should contribute to the whole purpose of life. By this fundamental goal, we prepare our students for transfer to four-year institutions, getting them trained for employment, and achieving a better quality of life for them and their families. The course of instruction at Evergreen Valley College includes critical thinking and systematic inquiry. The Mayoral debate is an excellent opportunity for civic engagement for Evergreen Valley College and the community to participate in the local municipal governance process. It is only through active and constructive participation that we could expect progress and change in our municipal government. And for us to have the opportunity to ensure that the next mayor of our dynamic city is indeed the best candidate for our multicultural society. So once again, welcome to Evergreen Valley College. Thank you.
Okay, and at this time, I have the pleasure of introducing our moderator for this morning. Our moderator is Vicki Nguyen. She is with NBC Bay Area News. She is an award-winning investigative reporter who has roots to this area, growing up in San Jose and later Santa Rosa. In 2007, when she first started with NBC Bay Area News, she was the very first Vietnamese American news reporter for the station. She and her family were sponsored to the US from Vietnam, and she's been here since, making a lot of changes with our media. She has won 2 Emmys for her award, And aside from being on television where you often see her, she is always at community events, either as MC or playing a role with the programming. So we are very honored to have her. She has a very busy lifestyle, but she has made time this morning to be with us. And we'd like to invite Vicki Nguyen to the stage.
Thank you very much, Christine, and thank you so much to all of you for being here and to the volunteers who made this event possible, of course the candidates as well. This has been many long nights, many long hours. This is 100% a volunteer effort, and I think it's really incredible that we were able to get everyone here to a very important event today. It is really my honor to be your moderator this morning, and as Christine said, I'm an investigative reporter for NBC Bay Area, and back when I got here in 2007, after 7 years of crisscrossing the country, I was surprised to find out I was the first Vietnamese American reporter for our station, KNTV, which is based in San Jose. NBC is based, it's our headquarters, our main station is in San Jose, which, it bears repeating, is home to the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. That's incredible. And in 2007, we didn't have any representation on the air until I got there. So I take that responsibility very seriously. Not only do I work here, I have family and friends who live here. I attended school at Santee Elementary in the Franklin-McKinley School District. And even after my family moved north to Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, we made a monthly pilgrimage to San Jose. We came here to get thịt quay, xí muội, chè, sáo riêng, and many other groceries at Lion Plaza. We always picked up a bunch of Lee's sandwiches, and we usually finished the day with bò bê mong or bún chả giò. Clearly food is important to our family. San Jose really then and now to me is the place to be. Today it remains a vibrant, diverse, and critical component of the Silicon Valley. Today I continue to spend many tax dollars, sales tax dollars here, thanks to the Century Mall, the great restaurants along Story Road, and of course the retail mecca that is Santana Row. Many sales tax dollars, that is. Rest assured that while I work here, shop here, and eat here, I do not vote here. My goal today is to ask fair but directed questions of these candidates that will help you better understand who they are, what they've done, and what they pledge to do, so that you will have the insight and information you need when you go to the voting booth for that primary on June 3rd. Councilwoman Herrera was the lucky chooser of the #1 out of our bag, so she will be the first to answer a question. And I'm going to ask the candidates actually to go ahead and just remove your mics from their stands, and if you can, just hang on to them, keep them in your laps. That'll just save us some time as we move through the questions. And we have tested them thanks to George. They work wonderfully. San Jose has made headlines, giving big incentives to attract large corporations to our city with many skilled jobs. However, there are still tens of thousands of low-wage workers in San Jose, a disproportionate number of them being Vietnamese. While the voters of San Jose overwhelmingly passed the minimum wage ordinance to bring that wage to $10.15 an hour, wage theft and poor working conditions are still rampant, particularly targeting the immigrant communities. Remind us where you stood on this issue. Did you publicly support the increase in the minimum wage? And how will you protect low-wage workers as part of your priorities if elected mayor?
First of all, honored to be here at Evergreen Valley College in District 8, which is the district I represent. In terms of the question just asked, I did not support the minimum wage ordinance because I felt that it should start at the state level and federal level, and that San Jose shouldn't be out in front of it. I was concerned about what it would do to small businesses and that there would be folks that would be laid off and unemployed as a result of it. The reason why I'm in this race is because I think we need more middle-class jobs. We need more high-paying jobs. And I support and have a plan to bring more companies into San Jose so that we can have better jobs. People can't live on the minimum wage, even at the new minimum wage. And there's people out there with 2 minimum wage jobs trying to make ends meet in Silicon Valley. And in San Jose, that's just almost impossible. Where did the jobs go? We need to bring them back. I ran a company, I'm the only one up here that did. I hired hundreds of people. We have a lot of different kinds of technology in San Jose. advanced manufacturing, clean technology, biotech, other kinds of jobs. We need to put our focus on creating those jobs and helping companies stay and grow in San Jose. It's difficult to do business in San Jose. We need to make our planning department a lot more friendly for small and medium businesses. And I think the Vietnamese community is among the immigrant communities that are big in business and small businesses. We need to make it easier for you to start and grow businesses so that you can hire people. I'm glad that the minimum wage, looking at it now, I think it's helping folks that are on that tier of employment to survive, but we need more middle-class jobs.
Thank you for your support in the effort to keep this debate moving smoothly. We're going to ask everyone to hold their applause until the very end when the candidates give their closing statements. Also, actually, I was asked by the organizers to make sure that the candidates and their campaigns know there are no campaign materials allowed in the theater, so please, if you can respect that. One more reminder, 90 seconds per answer, and each candidate will have a 30-second rebuttal. Supervisor Cortese? Sure. Or did you all agree?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the question is whether or not I publicly supported the initiative that was on the ballot to increase the minimum wage. Yes, I did. And to my knowledge, I'm the only one up here who actually endorsed the campaign and supported the campaign to do that. I think it was very, very necessary. And the second part of the question, as I understand it, was what would I do regarding wage theft and problems that occur in the workplace where people don't get paid fully for what they do. Just about a month ago, I held a news conference at the County Board of Supervisors to announce that I was asking the county administration and the county legal counsel to prepare an ordinance that would make it illegal in the county, that it would punish businesses who do not allow folks to take breaks, who do not pay them fully for an 8-hour day, who tell them that they have to work overtime and then don't pay them for that work. That's wrong. And what we want to do in the county of Santa Clara is say that businesses that cheat employees out of their wages are going to have a difficult time getting their permits from the county to do business. We think we can link those two together. It's been done in other places in the country like Houston, Texas. I do want to set the record straight that I am a businessman currently. I am the general manager, a general partner of several limited partnerships currently, and I've been in business since I was 14 years old. So I know the trials and tribulations of business. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Oliverio.
Thank you, Vicki. So I don't come from a wealthy family. My parents, like many of the people in the audience, were immigrants from another country, and I've worked many of those jobs we're speaking about. I was a paper boy who delivered the Mercury News to 225 houses, and you notice that the economy's changed. Now there is no paper boy, now it's paper man in a car. I worked at Burger King with many adult immigrants from many countries, all through high school, and I worked and lived for the minimum wage. On Measure D, when it was proposed, I opposed it for the reasons being that my council district, representing Willow Glen Rose Garden and Santana Row, borders Campbell and Santa Clara. And the minimum wage increase was a 38% increase to the labor cost for a company, for restaurants, what have you. That was a massive amount of difference when you're faced with making a decision whether you locate in San Jose or across the street in Campbell and San Jose. I am supportive of the statewide initiative because it levels the playing field, and the reality is the housing costs and all the other costs are the same in Santa Clara County or San Mateo County, etc., not just one city. And so I viewed that as also as a way that was going to hurt teenage employment, because those opportunities to work for as a teenager are less. And when it comes to the regulation of making sure people are paid fairly, the working conditions that they work under, I would say all of us are in support of enforcing federal, state laws that are already on the books that have their level of government that manages that situation, and we would all expect everyone to be paid fairly.
Thank you. Councilman Ricardo.
King Chao, Quibi. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to all the volunteers to make this opportunity possible for us to engage in these important issues. With regard to the minimum wage increase, I was very public at the time and quite private as well with those organizations that came to me advocating for the increase And I told them, and I talked to small business owners in my district, what they wanted was time. We wanted an ordinance that looked like San Francisco's that would now enable small business owners, owners of taquerias and faux noodle shops and dry cleaners, to be able to phase in a minimum wage increase. And I told them I would support something if it looked like San Francisco's ordinance, which did allow a phase in. Ours did not, so I opposed it publicly, and I'm very clear about that because I believe an awful lot of folks who are running small businesses in our city, in many cases aren't making minimum wage themselves. And so we need to make sure that we have an ordinance that brings everybody up and doesn't simply redistribute the pain from one group to another. We want to bring everyone up together. I've been very clear about the need for this city to do more to help small business owners. For example, to ensure that we have more people who speak foreign languages in our planning and permitting department, Vietnamese and Spanish, because we know that so much of the growth in small business in this city is happening from our immigrant community, and we need to do everything we can to support that growth. I've also been very clear about the need to expand opportunities for skills building among all of our residents, to convert our library computer terminals to skills building opportunities in English and all the skills we need in order to enable people to get more middle class jobs.
Thank you. Councilwoman Madison Ryan.
I supported the minimum wage and I was proud to do so. We live in such a vibrant, prosperous city, one of the richest cities in the world. And yet we have segments of our community that are struggling every single day trying to make a living. Everyone in here probably knows someone who is a chef, a server, someone who works in the assembly line. And unfortunately, maybe some of these people are not being paid at the minimum wage. We don't know that, but we hear stories. And so when we have an opportunity to really support low-income families, families that's just trying to make a living so that they can have a prosperous living just like the rest of us, we should support that. And I was proud to support that. I campaigned for that. I went on different radio stations to talk about that, talk about why it's important that we reach our hand to help struggling families. And just last year, or earlier this year, there was a report that actually came out and said the minimum wage is actually helping the economy. Small business represent the backbone of a strong economy. We all know that, and we support small business owners here in San Jose. But at the same time, we need to look out for each other. We need to help those who are struggling so that they can actually live in San Jose and call this place their home. I have done my part as a council member in the past 8 years. I put together a youth job forum where we try to introduce youth to different jobs here in San Jose. And I will continue to do that because at the end of the day, we're here for opportunities. As a mayor, I will try to create that opportunities for every family regardless of their ethnic background.
Would anyone like to take advantage of the 30 seconds for a rebuttal? Okay, Councilman Liccardo.
Supervisor Cortese mentioned efforts he launched through a press conference to make it illegal to violate minimum wage laws. Well, it's already illegal in the state of California to violate minimum wage laws. It's already illegal in the city of San Jose to violate the San Jose city ordinance. It's not apparent to me what exactly is accomplished by making it illegal additionally in the county, but I can tell you I heard nothing from the county in expressing or urging other cities to raise their minimum wage, especially those wealthier cities to our north and our west, where they're much more easily able to raise the minimum wage. I'd like to see regional leadership on this issue.
Supervisor Cortese.
Well, you should have been at the news conference because exactly what we did was encourage every city, all 15 cities in Santa Clara County to do the same thing. We regulate businesses. We have the right to withhold permits. If people aren't abiding by state and federal law, that's our role. I've been in business, as I said, for many, many years. In fact, in 1986, one of my partners in business was a Vietnamese American by the name of Trac Vo, who ran an auto repair shop. Maybe some of you had your car worked on there. So I'm very, very familiar with the plight of small business people, and we'll talk about that more later on.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. We want to give our audience here, as well as our viewers who may be watching on NBCBayArea.com, a better understanding of your background and connection with the Vietnamese American community. It does make up about 10% of the population in San Jose. In your public service career, please describe one initiative or accomplishment that has had the greatest positive impact on the Vietnamese American community here in San Jose, and it's Supervisor Cortese.
Well, I've worked very closely with the Vietnamese community over the 21 years that I've been in public office, and then even before that, I was elected to public office in 1992. As I mentioned a minute ago, my first Vietnamese partner in business was in 1986, and that continued until just a few years ago when he passed away. But I think the greatest accomplishment thus far as an elected official was the Vietnamese health assessment. In meeting with doctors and medical professionals over the years, including my last few years on the City Council, I was told that in order to get federal grants, state grants, grants that go to nonprofit organizations, money for research, that somebody needed to do a comprehensive health assessment, a survey of the community. And I went to the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors as soon as I was elected there. We got the Public Health Department to put up over $150,000. We reached out, as I always do, to the entire community, brought people in from various organizations in the community, as well as medical professionals and other professionals, and put together that Vietnamese health assessment. And it told us a lot of things, and we're going to be able to build on that in the future. It's already made its way all the way to the White House Health Council, because one of our good doctors in this community serves on that council. And we've been told that organizations are now using that health assessment to help write their grant applications to get funding to deal with issues that need to be addressed in the community.
Thank you. Councilman Oliverio.
When I make decisions or votes on the City Council, those are agnostic of ethnicity. Sidewalk repair, street lights, law enforcement, libraries being open, parks being maintained, those are for everybody. We don't have that only certain people of a certain ancestry use a certain portion of the city. And regardless of zip code, we should have a basic level of services that provides equity for everyone. And that's the important thing, I think, is the role of a local government. We are very specific in our tasks. It's very much in the city charter what we do, and there are many things that people are concerned about that we don't do that's of a national or state importance, statewide, Sacramento, but not the city of San Jose. When it came to something very specific in the Vietnamese community, the first time the issue of Little Saigon that was brought in the naming of the business district, I originally voted in favor of naming the business district the way it seemed that the majority of the community wanted, along with council members Pete Constant and Kansan Chu. But otherwise, if I look to people that do much for the Vietnamese community, I would argue that it's within your own community of people that are doing good things and good works, and I would highlight my father, who's here, Italo Oliverio, who taught adult immigrants to speak English for over 30 years. Of every wave of immigration that came to this country, and many of them of Vietnamese ancestry, and that was a very big value add to the economy, because learning the English language in this country enables so much more job opportunities for all those, whether you're from Latin America or Asia or wherever some people, obviously where people have come from, to all over this land to be part of this great country. Thank you.
Councilman Ricardo.
I think we all remember the very divisive time during the Little Saigon controversy, and certainly I made the mistake, I think, of voting on the wrong side of that, and not doing my job of listening better. And through that controversy, as I learned more, ultimately I determined we needed to find a way to bring sides together. I see Lee Tong in the audience now. And I spent an awful lot of hours, I recall, one night crafting a compromise settlement document. And ultimately we had members of both sides of this divided, at the time it was a divided community, signing that document. I'm grateful that Mayor Reed and Supervisor Cortese ultimately signed that as well. And we ended the hunger strike and moved forward with a proposal to have a privately financed sign that would be supported by the community, that would clearly declare the district Little Saigon. And I'm grateful for all those who came forward to help educate me about how to work together with the community, and I hope we've begun the process of healing after that very divisive battle.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
So let me just expand on what Councilmember Liccardo talked about in regards to the Little Saigon. Now, obviously, we have Little Saigon today in my council district, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm not going to stand here and take credit for that because it was a very divisive issue. And there was a lot of things that happened at the time. I was young, I was inexperienced. I did reach out to the many Vietnamese organizations in the community that I thought I should. But having gone through all that, and I made a lot of mistakes, I've learned from it, and I think those mistakes will help me to become a better person and a better leader in the future. So a lot of things have happened, and I apologize for the headaches and the heartaches that I've caused due to my naivete and my inexperience. But today, we have a Little Saigon in San Jose, and it's an official designation from the city of San Jose. And yes, the Vietnamese community should get credit for that, especially those who represent the Little Saigon Foundation, Barry Doe and his volunteers and his staff for making that happen. And we're very proud of that. But I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what really matters, is that it doesn't really matter who came up with the idea, what happened during the whole process, it's the outcome that matters. And for the first time in the history of San Jose, we have Little Saigon here in San Jose. And I'm very proud of that, and I want to thank everyone for making that happen. Councilwoman Herrera.
I'll just say Little Saigon and that whole issue happened before I got elected. But I'm really glad that Little Saigon exists today, and I was there to commemorate it, and I appreciate everybody's role behind me in whether they in resolving it and moving it forward. But most of all, I appreciate the Vietnamese community. And thank you for your support. This is my second term on the City Council, and I appreciate all the support that I've received from the Vietnamese community during that time. I'm an Air Force veteran. I think some of you know that, and that's been something I've been able to share with a lot of members of the Vietnamese community in terms of I was in the Air Force during the time of the Vietnam conflict. So that's been some things that we've shared in common. You know, the real thing I want to talk about, though, is where we move forward from here. The Vietnamese community is a tremendous asset to San Jose. Culturally and in terms of business, you are part of the energy that's going to help us grow into the 21st century. And that's why, as mayor, I want to focus on helping you be able to start and grow businesses and be productive. Because we need you to stay in San Jose and work and help us grow. And we need more middle-class jobs. We need companies and to support your companies so that when you want to grow a business in San Jose, you know that your efforts are going to be worthwhile, that you're going to be able to grow and be prosperous and hire employees and be successful. And we need to make our planning department actually work for us, be a much more facilitative department that can actually get businesses through. If other states can get permits through in 24 hours, why can't we? So we need to work together. Based on what we have in common, we have a lot in common in San Jose, and thank you.
I don't think anyone has a rebuttal. Nope. Supervisor Cortese, I stand corrected.
Well, yes, and I just want to correct the record. I don't mind Councilmember Liccardo taking some credit for the compromise to put the signs out in Little Saigon and end the hunger strike. I see Lee Tong here, and I'm very proud to have his endorsement. But on another news station, not KNTV, but KTVU, it was reported that Councilmember Liccardo said a couple of months ago, prior to his suggestion, it was suggested by Dave Cortese. Dave Cortese suggested the idea. We share in that credit. I appreciated his effort, but it's not right to take all the credit. And if you have any question about that, ask Lee Tong before you leave.
Councilman Liccardo?
Yes, I was very public at the time, as I am today, about the fact that Supervisor Cortese and I had discussed this idea several months beforehand. I'd had very little conversation with him prior to the time in which we spent several days trying to craft a compromise to bring the two sides together when Lee Tong was involved in a very serious hunger strike. And in fact, it wasn't until the end of the process, after several drafts of the memo, and I'd be happy to provide those to the public, that we ultimately brought Supervisor Cortese in to sign it. So I'm certainly happy to accord credit to Supervisor Cortese for an idea that was helpful, but the hard work of bringing people together means staying up late at night and doing a lot of negotiating and talking, and that happened with a lot of other folks.
Thank you. There's been a proliferation of Vietnamese coffee shops in San Jose. where they are grinding much more than coffee. That's how reporter Kit Doe put it in a series of investigative reports looking at illegal activity in these lingerie cafes, including smoking, nudity, and tinted windows. The city of Garden Grove in Southern California voted to ban these businesses outright after discovering gambling was also a regular occurrence inside. San Jose Deputy Police Chief Fang Ngo said these businesses bring blight to the neighborhoods and they invite other crimes. What is your position on these cafes and nightclubs that have become notorious in San Jose? And have you or would you accept campaign contributions from these businesses? Councilman Oliverio.
Thank you. So, and just for the record on the last item, I was the only one to vote for it for the first time. A little Saigon. On the topic of the coffee shops and the behavior that occurs at some of them, clearly I think if they are illegal, as they stated in some of those comments you made, then they should be regulated. To do that requires some level of law enforcement. As you may know, we have some 1,100 budgeted positions in the city for police officers, but only 900 something that are actually employed today. That means there's a difference between that number and that number, which means there's money on the table that's not being spent, that should be spent on law enforcement. So rather than tell the community, sorry, I can't get to it, I know this is a problem for you, I know this may bring blight and other crime issues, I would rather take that money, contract with our very good county sheriff, and have the sheriff do the necessary work to make sure that those businesses that are doing illegal activity are paying the fine, shut down, etc. I have not accepted any campaign donations from any of those businesses. Approximately 78% of my campaign contributions come from actual San Jose residents, but I have not accepted, and nor would I accept, but I would also ask if anyone, usually they have to tell you what they do for work, and so none of that has happened. But I think that's enough for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ricardo.
We should enforce the law to the full extent against anyone who's running an illegal business in this city, including those coffee shops where there's nudity and gambling, etc. To my knowledge, I have not accepted any contributions from any of those businesses. I feel very strongly about drawing the line against those businesses that have very severe social impacts in our community. That's why in 2012, I stood up against well-financed gaming and car club interests that were trying to expand gaming in this city. When they went to the ballot, I wrote the opposing argument. We gathered the community together. Although they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of their initiative, the community, particularly the Vietnamese American community, I'm very grateful, was with us, and we voted down that initiative, and we checked the growth of casinos and car clubs. The same way, as a community, we can come together and break this cycle of these coffee shops that are clearly having severe impacts on our families and our communities.
Thank you. Councilman Nguyen.
I don't support or harbor any coffee shops that actually has or harbor illegal activities. We just had a recent incident, again, in my council district, Ozone Coffee Shop, right there on Central Road. And this brought in the federal government, along with San Jose PD, to crack down on the coffee shop. These coffee shops are not just bad and illegal, they actually bring a really negative image to the Vietnamese American community here. And that's what I care about. We have such hardworking people in our community that actually trying to make a decent living, open nice restaurants, open nice business facilities that provide good amenities for people here in this city. And when we go to these coffee shops and when it's being frequented by outsiders, it brings a really bad image to our community. And that's why as mayor, I would try to crack down under the legal terms in regards to all these business coffee shops. We cannot allow them to operate if they have prostitution, illegal gambling, or any types of activities that's illegal under the law.
Councilwoman Herrera.
You see some of the coffee shops with the darkened windows, and some of the things that go on are real problems, and I would absolutely support enforcement. And I am not afraid to say if something's really bad for the community, let's get rid of it. And that's why I am supporting a ban on the dispensaries that are rampant, the marijuana dispensaries across San Jose. And I'm the only one up here that will take that position because of the harm it's done in our schools. 146% increase in suspensions due to marijuana in some of the East Side schools in East Side. So, I'm not afraid to do that, and I think we need to stand firm on areas where it's contributing great harm to our community. And I absolutely will do that. I will not take money from any coffee shop that would be in this kind of category, nor will I take any money from the medical marijuana dispensaries. I tried to get something passed for City Council to prevent any candidate from taking money from the medical marijuana industry, but couldn't get the council to support that. So I hope the candidates up here will agree they're not going to take any money from any medical marijuana dispensaries as well. Thank you.
Supervisor Cortese.
Well, first of all, I agree with Deputy Chief No. And the most important thing you can do as a mayor or as a member of this council when it comes to issues like gambling and vice and illicit behavior in entertainment centers and retail locations is listen to the police chief and listen to his top brass, because they know what's going on, they know what's required to keep the city safe. And they will have my full confidence as mayor of San Jose and full support to back up the laws that are on the books to make sure these things don't happen. At the same time, we need to make sure that our planning and code enforcement department is not too difficult on Vietnamese businesses that are doing legitimate practices. I hear almost every day about code enforcement officers and planning officers coming out time and time again, acting as if they're the boss and they get to make up their own rules, making it harder and harder for Vietnamese businesses to make a living and to do the work that they need to do. I'll tell you something again about police chiefs. All 5 former police chiefs, the last 5, have endorsed me in this race. The Police Officers Association has endorsed me. Our firefighters here have endorsed me. Nurses have endorsed me. Teachers have endorsed me. They're all doing that because they know that I'm the safe choice for the city of San Jose. If you want to make the city safer, then go and look at who's endorsing me in this race, and you'll see what their opinion is. Thank you.
If anyone would like to have a rebuttal, I'd like for you to also address the question if you specifically would support the funding of more vice officers or code enforcement officers, or consider raising fines for businesses to be found in code violation. If anyone would like to take that question. This is just a follow-up during the rebuttal period. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't answer that. The city has at least 140 positions that are funded right now for police officers that aren't filled. And the reason they're not filled is because we have a police force that's unhappy with the San Jose City Council, with the majority of the council, and we need to restore trust. And among those hires, we need to have more Vietnamese Americans on the police force. We should be recruiting from this community, and we certainly need to have the positions that you just described filled by officers, and especially Vietnamese officers that understand the culture and how to deal with it.
Councilman Alario, thank you.
And to the 140 officers that Supervisor Cortese is speaking about, in the short term, as mentioned before, we should take that money, contract with the county sheriff, because I shouldn't be telling you no in the absence of how long it takes to fill those 140 positions. I should tell you yes, we will enforce the law, we will enforce it today, take the money for the 140 and hire the sheriff to assist the city during this time of need.
Thank you. Councilman Liccardo?
There's no question we need more police officers, but we can't go back on pension reform and fiscal reform that has nearly banked. If we had not gone forward with fiscal reform and pension reform, the city would be bankrupt. And so we've got to be able to balance the budget and be able to afford officers within our means. That's why I've identified with the mayor over $30 million in savings from pension reform and other sources to restore the police department over 6 months ago. The council approved that strategy. We are now moving forward. We're restoring pay to keep officers on board. We've now seen the third class graduate from the academy.
Councilwoman Nguyen?
That's the rebuttal question.
This is a rebuttal.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer if you don't.
I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay. Councilwoman Herrera?
I absolutely would support enforcement and strengthening code enforcement, and I support giving them the power to issue misdemeanor citations. Now, how do we pay for that? We need to continue to support the pension reforms that we've already put into place, And in terms of police, I have a novel idea that I have put forward, and that is to make a slight tweak in Measure B to bring back up to 100 officers that have left that want to return if we allow them to return in Tier 1. We could do that without taking any savings away from the pension reform we've already implemented, but we could give it street-ready officers back on the street immediately.
Thank you. A recurring complaint from the Vietnamese electorate is that candidates will court the Vietnamese American votes with campaign promises. They will wear the áo dài, and they learn to say greetings in Vietnamese, all of which make for great campaign moments. But once in office, the concerns and the needs of the community are not addressed. An example of this is the Vietnamese American Community Center and Heritage Garden, both ideas and projects that have been languishing since 1987. Countless candidates have promised a heritage garden and community center with land designated by the city since 2000, a groundbreaking in 2006, and a task force designated in 2008. The dissolving of the redevelopment agency in 2012 is only at the tail end of this long journey. As leaders, what answers can you provide about the length of time and process involving these projects and about the future of the realization of these projects, if any? And I believe we're on Councilman Carter.
Yeah, there's no question there's been a trail of promises for many years around the creation of a community center and heritage garden. And usually those promises are accompanied by commitments of public funding. And simply, there are no public dollars. And so we all recognize the city's in serious fiscal challenge right now. And so we need a different conversation between the Vietnamese American community and our next mayor. And I made a specific pledge yesterday in writing that I wouldn't be committing public dollars. I would be happy to co-lead an effort to privately fundraise, to be able to make those important showcases of our Vietnamese American community happen here in the city of San Jose. Because I understand they're critical to our community. At the same time, we need an honest dialogue, one that recognizes the fiscal constraints we're in, but still leverages the ability of a mayor to be able to reach out in the community and leverage resources from the private and nonprofit sectors to help make dreams like this come to life. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Actually, the Vietnamese Cultural Garden Project is having a grand opening on May 11th on Mother's Day. So I invite everyone in the audience to attend that. It's 11 o'clock at Kelly Park. So we actually accomplished this project that has been in the pipeline for over 20 years. And we can only do that because the Vietnamese community came together under the leadership of Dr. Nguyen Nguyen, who is the chairman of the Viet Heritage Society. We will now have the first Vietnamese cultural garden in the United States, right here in San Jose, a city with the largest Vietnamese population outside Vietnam. And I'm very proud that our community has come together to make this happen. So again, I invite you all to join us on May 11th at 11 o'clock at Kelly Park, because that's where we're going to have a huge celebration. In regards to the Vietnamese Community Center, I actually proposed this again a couple years ago, but because there was some divisiveness in the Vietnamese community, we couldn't make it happen. But I wish that under my tenure as a mayor, that when I am done 8 years from now, that we will have the first Vietnamese American Community Center here in San Jose. That would be a proud achievement, not just for San Jose, but for the Vietnamese community. And I hope that we can all come together, the Vietnamese community come together and help me to make that happen. We have so many different facilities right now that's owned by the city. There's no reason why we can't convert one of those facilities into a Vietnamese community center. A couple days ago, we actually had a forum at the Arab American Community Center. It would be so nice to have a Vietnamese American Community Center here in our city.
Councilwoman Herrera.
Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate Madison Nguyen on the garden. I think that's wonderful, and I will come and attend that. I think it's great. So, you know, as has already been stated, the city doesn't have the funding to go and do a community center of any kind and to fund it. But I think we need to work together with the Vietnamese community in terms of making something like this happen. I look at Milpitas, I see the Indian Community Center there, which was largely put together by donations and work in the community itself to put that together. So there's needs for a variety of different places to meet. We don't have enough community centers in San Jose. I know in Evergreen we have one. We certainly could use other places and spaces for people to meet. So I'm very supportive of it. I absolutely would roll up my sleeves and help. During my last several years in office, I have a record of actually working with the community to get things done. And so I certainly would guarantee you that as mayor, I would do that as well, work with the Vietnamese community to make this happen.
Supervisor Cortese.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with the status of the project, and I can understand that maybe there's going to be some kind of a celebration over there, but I think people are going to be disappointed when they get there because the Vietnamese gardens are not developed yet, and I don't know exactly what has happened, but I know while I was on the San Jose City Council, I reached into my own pocket and contributed $5,000 of my own money to develop that gardens, and I don't know what happened to it. And I think it's time for the City of San Jose, the mayor's office, and I'll do this as mayor, to take responsibility for the fiscal accounting for that project, make sure every dollar is accounted for, make sure that the master plan is completed and finished and it's developed as quickly as any other park in San Jose. There's over $80 million in park dedication funds in the city treasury now, and there's also construction and conveyance tax funds that can be used for parks. We need to take a look at using some of that money to make sure that this project gets completed once and for all. I just want to say one other thing. When you take a look at a project like this languishing over the years, you have to ask yourself the question, who as mayor is going to be able to get this done once and for all? I'd ask you to look at my track record. We got the yellow flag resolution done. We got the signs put up on Little Saigon. We got the signs put up on the freeway. And if you want to get this done, please elect me mayor of San Jose.
I'd like to open the floor to rebuttal. Oh, sorry. My apologies. Councilman Oliverio.
So if it's the conversation's about building public facilities for all people in the city, whether they be parks or community centers, I'm on board. And we build those things as the money's available to do so, where it's legally allowed by state law to spend the money in that geography. But if it's for specific facilities only for certain ethnicities, I'm very transparent and very consistent on that topic, and that would be no. I voted for the Mexican Heritage Corporation to go bankrupt. I voted to not subsidize the Mexican Heritage Plaza for an endeavor that's currently a multi-year engagement. I really believe that we are a city that is, for every zip code, equity regardless of ethnicity, and that we provide the same level of basic services to everybody. But the reality is, this is a country from all over the world, and as I look in the audience, I see a lot of people that ancestry comes from all over the world. And we have one beautiful public school system, we have a beautiful park system, we have all these things that you contain in local government. Those are things that we should be concerned about. I just want to make sure I didn't confuse that. School system is separately 100% different than the city of San Jose. They govern themselves. You elect school board trustees. The city has no control over the school system. But what I mean is, these are government institutions that are there to serve people from all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Oliverio. Councilwoman Quinn, 30 seconds for rebuttal.
So I just wanted to remind Supervisor Cortese that under 8 years of his leadership, the first phase of the garden was never done. What did you do during those 8 years? And I want also to remind Supervisor Cortese there are 2 phases to the garden. The first phase will be done on May 11th, and then we will continue to do with the second phase. And I would like to respectfully invite you to attend on May 11th so you can see the first phase and the garden. We cannot have this kind of divisiveness when we have the celebrations coming forward. I invite you all to come out and see for yourself the completion of phase 1 of the Vietnamese Cultural Garden.
Councilman Lombardo has a rebuttal, and I'm going to ask you once again, audience, if you can hold your applause to the end.
Yeah, with regard to Supervisor Cortese's suggestion that we can use park dedication ordinance fees to build the Heritage Garden or the Community Center, people need to know the truth about those fees. They're geographically restricted. Those are public dollars that are geographically restricted to specific neighborhoods within the area near where developments.
Okay, I'm going to ask everyone to please afford the candidates the respect they deserve.
Those are fees that are public dollars that are geographically restricted to where the developments that pay those fees can be used. And so as a result, you've got neighborhoods that are going to expect a park in their own neighborhood, right? And To say that we're going to use public dollars like that is just a repeat of the same kinds of disingenuous promises that have been made to this community time and time again, to use public dollars to produce something for which there are no public dollars.
Okay, moving to the next question. This is
Rebuttal,
Councilwoman-
please.
Oh,
Yeah, I only had my...
sure. Supervisor Cortese.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I have kept my commitments on that Heritage Gardens, and in fact, I have actually secured public funds, and those have already been paid over $100,000 of county funds, public county funds that are in a trust fund at the county, and people there said the same thing. How can you use that money for a park in the city? And we said because it's of regional significance. We said it's because everybody in this county can enjoy the Heritage Gardens, the Vietnamese Heritage Gardens. We contribute $100,000. And frankly, if the city of San Jose would come to us and ask us for more support, I'd be happy to champion that. Thank you.
Councilman Oliveria, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of money, but if someone wants to come up forward to me and give me the information, I'll give you $100 out of my pocket towards the goal.
Thank you for that generous offer. Okay, next question for the candidates. This will start with Councilwoman Nguyen. San Jose is one of the most culturally diverse cities in the United States. Do any of the candidates up here know how many bilingual 911 dispatchers are employed by the San Jose Fire Department? I won't put you on the spot. The answer is 0. My colleague Damian Trujillo broke that story this week, and it surprised so many people in an area that in an area as critical as emergency services, this city is falling behind in how it recruits and maintains a valuable and diverse workforce. As mayor, what concrete plans do you have to promote diversity in employment hiring practices at the city level?
Thank you very much for the question. This is a very, very important question because although the Vietnamese American represents 10% of the city's populations, we do not have a 10% of the populations of staff at City Hall. And this includes the San Jose Police Department. On Friday, we had 43 cadets that just graduated from the academy. And the chief of police said, and the mayor also echoed that, is that we will continue to encourage the hiring of bilingual officers with the San Jose PD. And we will actually allow extra pay for those people that actually speak another language, whether it's Vietnamese, Spanish, or Chinese, or any other languages that they speak. And so this is a really good, common, best practice for the city of San Jose to have. As mayor, I will make sure that we provide adequate compensations for those people that speak another language other than English, not just in the San Jose Police Department, but also throughout the various departments at City Hall. And that is my pledge to not just the Vietnamese community, but to every ethnic community here in San Jose.
Councilwoman Herrera.
It's critical that we have those bilingual services, and in a diverse community like this, we must have representation from the different language groups in our services. So I think, first of all, we need to do a more dedicated recruiting effort. As mayor, I would make sure we do that. I know that I look to do that even in my council office, in my business, when I had a business. I look for diversity. I think it's really important. People need to recognize how important that is. And I'll just give you one example. In even looking at an appointment to the Youth Commission, I went through some resumes because I was concerned about the lack of diversity and the fact that of the appointment that was being brought to me by one of my staff. I ended up selecting somebody who was a Vietnamese young woman who had been overlooked because I'm very, very concerned about making sure that there is diversity. I practiced that my whole life, and I will make sure of that as mayor of the city.
Thank you. Supervisor Cortese.
I think the hiring practices at the city have been very challenging the last few years in terms of the kind of diversity that we want. I left the city council 5 years and 3 months ago. When I was there, I championed something called the Diversity and Hiring Task Force. And we appointed people from all over the county all over the city, to do oversight of the city's hiring practices. I don't know what's happening with that commission today, with that task force. But those are community people like yourself that we ask to be involved with this process to make sure that this kind of problem doesn't happen. In addition to the bilingual situation, I want to point to another statistic. In 6 years, in the 6 years that have passed, there's been only one woman hired by the San Jose Fire Department. That's unacceptable. We have a fire department comprised of men and women, and you can't tell me that there's not qualified women in this community, young women who are of Vietnamese descent or any other ethnicity that can do that job. So we need to get back on track. We need to make sure that diversity in hiring happens, that people are groomed all the way through the process, that they don't stay at the low level, but as soon as it's clear that they have the ability to succeed, they need to be brought along, trained into management positions, and eventually that way you will have Vietnamese department heads, Vietnamese chiefs, and a wide, diverse array of people leading our city.
Councilman Oliverio.
I don't support any type of quota system where we hire solely based on ethnicity. I do support allowing everyone to interview and that we hire based on merit. I come from high tech. I worked with many people of Vietnamese ancestry that were hardware engineers, mechanical engineers, quality assurance engineers. They were all hired based on merit. The Vietnamese community, as the topic is here today, is a very hard-working community, and I think we should continue to hire people by merit. Having a second language as a skill, whether it be any other language other than English, is a value add. It is a skill set that you should be paid for as a bonus because you are offering more than someone who only speaks one language. That I clearly support. But I would clearly also say that we need to make sure that, as I mentioned earlier, my father taught adult immigrants to speak English, and part of the value of that was the basic language skills to function in the country you now live in. That is of high importance, and we need to make sure that those classes through the other levels of government are still always available, as they always have been for free, to those residents so that they pick up the basic language skills so that not only are they good for themselves, to help themselves, but oftentimes in an emergency medical situation it might be helping a family member. And to help a family member, there is a certain number